the military come in and throw rockets and bombs at the mountain and the glacier and just blow it up in tiny pieces so that the whole thing will not come down as a big landslide bomb on the village of Blatten? This is how desperate the situation is right now. This question was really asked at today's press conference about the dire situation for the village of Blatten. But now the problem child is not only the mountain that's coming down, it's the glacier. Because if the glacier comes down, it will not only throw debris and ice and everything to bury Blatten, it will also have consequences for other villages. So things are getting worse. That glacier is hanging there on a threat because we have masses of rocks that have broken down on that little balcony of glacier, and the glacier is already moving down at accelerated speed. It's accelerating every day. So what is the latest about this problem? The people had been evacuated, everyone's safe. The village lies there empty, and of course the residents are desperate. When can we come back? But there is no timeline. They cannot come back. And here there's a new video that surfaced how the mountain started breaking apart, and you see really the right side in the screen how it is a time lapse breaking off, how the whole mountain is moving down. And that, almost all of that, is now lying on a glacier that is already starting to break, and we're seeing ice crumbs falling down in lahars already. It's losing its stability and the weather's getting warmer. A glacier scenario would affect more villages in the valley, but that is the most likely scenario right now. The alarm is sounding in the Swiss municipality of Blatten because this landslide will be massive when it comes down, and the rocks and everything, the ice could trigger an even more devastating scenario. Now the glacier scenario is looming. Now the officials are asking themselves the question, what if the mass of that glacier comes down instead of just the landslide? Because before it was just the rocks coming down, but now the rocks are bringing the glacier with them. Communities further down in the valley will have a serious problem. They call it thunder over Blatten. I said in my last video, the mountain is shooting out bullets. It's shooting out rocks like bullets. And it comes with that massive, massive roar and sound. If you hear it here, this is absolutely crazy. And if you want to hear more about that, watch out my last video that I did about that. But the problem that is currently emerging is that the mountain is already crumbling massively, and tens of thousands of cubic meters of debris have already fallen. This was at the beginning, they thought that's a good thing, that it's constantly throwing down smaller rocks and that it's not all coming down at once like a big avalanche that is cut loose. Because that's how it looks when that mountain is cut and it's moving down. You all have seen avalanches, how they start. You see the crack, and you see this here also in the press conference. There they showed the horizontal crack of the mountain. And if this all comes down at once, it's absolute, then it's over for the village. So they were happy that it's crumbling down. But the problem is, it doesn't change the fact that all the material now has accumulated at once, as again, is now also threatening to come down at once the glacier breaks. But now the glacier's coming as well. Had the glacier not caught everything, the situation would have been better. So now they have to change their planning and their determination of the danger zone. So that's why I said they fear a chain reaction. And the glacier coming down could also block a river that then could also flood other villages. And the chain reaction is large mudslides, lahar style, mud, ice, rocks. Authorities are saying, they said today, we're hoping for the best, but we're preparing for the worst. What is the best? That is the question now. Is there a best case scenario that now everything's on the glacier and the glacier will hold? Will you then be able to send the people back? That's way too much risk now that summer's coming. Melting water is infiltrating the glacier. They will be displaced long term. So that's why the voices were calling, can we explode the glacier? But unfortunately, authorities said, no, that's absolutely impossible. Logistically, it's impossible, but also it has been tried in the past. It's impossible to blow up a glacier with ice. It's not working. Authorities and residents, of course, are saying we are crisis resistant here in the Löschental. And the mayor of Blatten says, you know, the longer this landslide crisis continues, the more difficult it will become for us. Switzerland knows that the danger can persist for a very long time. And I remember about the village of Brienz. I reported about this last year. Was a very similar situation, had to be evacuated for a month because a huge rock slide, the mountain came down and just stopped super briefly in front of the village, creating scary pictures. And then it had to be evacuated again because another landslide was impending. And for Brienz, they will see more evacuations. That's what authorities are making clear. And also, if we look at another village, Bondo, it happened to them in 2017. It was hit by a mud lahar. And these rock slides, mountain slides, they're happening more and more often in this region of the Swiss Alps. And the reason, amongst other reason, is the increasingly melting permafrost that brings the mountains in motion. So usually in the higher areas of the Swiss Alps, the ground is permanently frozen. That's called permafrost. It's basically inside the hidden rock walls and also mountain peaks. And a typical appearance and mountain form of this mountain permafrost of the Alps that you see there, it's called like block glaciers. They consist of large blocks of ice, and they creep downhill under the influence of gravity at a rate of, well, decimeters to meters per year, indicating the presence of permafrost. But the Böch Glacier right now is coming down with 4 to 5 meters, like 16 to 17 feet per day, the whole thing. And permafrost is defined by temperature, and it reacts very sensitively to changes in climatic conditions. And when permafrost thaws, the stability of these vast mountain masses suffers. So that's why we see these movements happening that result in landslides and dangers for mountain dwellers like the village of Blatten. That's why the authorities said today the situation at the Böch Glacier remains very critical also today. It's difficult to predict how it will change under the pressure of this massive debris of rocks, because now a total of 9 million tons of additional weight are lying on this glacier that's already moving towards the valley. So far, the glacier is holding. The expected major collapse hasn't occurred yet. But the situation remains highly dynamic. That is what they're saying. And what happened now overnight, there was a light precipitation that was falling at regular intervals throughout the night. So like a continuous, how they say, cone-like sound was again audible. They heard this mysterious sound. They say this is an indication of ongoing material movement on that steep slope. That sounds absolutely scary. I'm so glad the village is empty, the cows are out, all the animals are out. And what's particularly striking is this flow of debris that is still happening, and it's steadily increasing in size, and it moves increasingly downhill after these partial collapses. And also the dynamics of these flows are noticeably increasing. The material that is carried becomes denser, and the advance towards the valley becomes more visible day by day. The current key facts that they're giving us about the Glacier. Further glacier collapses have occurred across the entire front width of the glacier. The glacier collapses so far did not reach the valley floor. The rubble ran down to about 2,150 meters above sea level. The glacier moves at a rate of 4 to 5 meters, 17 feet per day. Overlay puts a lot of pressure on the glacier. Of course, now they're continuously monitoring and analyzing the glacier. The maximum height of this embankment that is now resting on the glacier, on this balcony of glacier, is as high as 81 meters. It's really, really high. And the peak of the mountain, of the small Nestorn mountain, is now lower. Due to the collapse of these rocks, due to that rock slide, the mountain breaking apart, the highest point is now 101 meters lower than before. That's a lot. This glacier and this area was once a symbol of nature's beauty. Now it's a ticking geological time bomb hanging above the evacuated village of Blatten in the Löschental Valley. And for those that have been following my channel, you know this is the third video that is covering this unfolding crisis, but stunning videos in the other two videos. I'll put them in the end screen. And since then, of course, things have become even more serious. And because the Glacier is not just moving, it's accelerating right now. This is a fact that we can't deny. The glacier is sliding downhill, and what the numbers are saying, this is not normal. It's not like it's spring. This is normal. Glaciers are always moving. It's more than double what you might see during a warm summer in the Alps. This is not a normal glacial melt. This is pressure from above. All these 9 million tons of rocks are now on this fragile piece of ice. And that is now cracking. And the new pictures that they're showing us, there's now a nearly continuous crack across the glacier surface. So it's only, in my opinion, a matter of time until a big chunk is coming down. And also the authorities said on the press conference today, the ice will not stay where it is. It is already on the move. So this glacier, loaded with billions of kilograms of rock, is breaking up, and it's sitting just above a normally, thankfully now, evacuated area. So this is a real danger. The entire slope could collapse in the form of a massive debris flow. They call this Murgang. It could rush through the valley and through Blatten. And I want to make it clear again, they said that in the press conference, a controlled detonation would definitely lead to an uncontrolled disaster. So instead, they're just watching. They're watching and waiting. They're using a multi-layered monitoring system. GPS sensors track movement, radar systems monitor deformation, and visual inspections continue day and night. But even that has its limits. What's going on inside of the mountain? This area is very remote. Mobile coverage is patchy. Data isn't always transmitted in real time. So in fact, the officials have admitted during this press conference that that's a big problem. Data loss and delays are hindering their ability to assess the glacier's condition at all times. And then there's a new concern about the weather. If the temperatures rise suddenly or if there's heavy rain, the glacier could destabilize even faster. And there is rain in the summer. So the meltwater would actually act as lubricant beneath the ice and debris, helping it like slide down faster, like you put jelly underneath this. That would increase the risk of a sudden landslide, everything coming down at once. And the people of Blatten, meanwhile, they wait. Many of them have been evacuated now for over a week. They first evacuated one part of the village, only 90 people, but then they saw the danger is increasing, so they evacuated everyone, over 300 people, plus cows and animals. But it's only nature will decide when or if they will be able to return to their village. So for now, the road through the valley remains closed, electricity is turned off, animals were evacuated even by helicopter. You remember the cow flying through the air if you have seen my last video. Many people are staying with relatives, others are in emergency shelters. The community is strong, but fear is definitely growing. And the authorities aren't giving a timeline. How could they? They said today, there's no return date. We're not at the stage where we can say when it will be safe again. And they stressed that only about 1/3 of this unstable slope has collapsed so far. So that means a large part of the mountain slide, millions of cubic meters of rock, is still precariously balanced above the glacier. So it's not if something will happen, it's when. And during that press conference, one reporter asked, well, do you expect another rock fall? And the answer was yes. The slope is not yet done moving. The forces acting on the glacier and the surrounding rock are still changing. Any further movement could trigger more collapse. We have to stay alert. And so the monitoring continues, the valley remains empty, and the mountain is waiting for its moment, so it seems. The cracks are growing in the glacier and the mountain. The debris that sits on the glacier is like a loaded weapon, held back only by that cracking ice that is also melting and cracking underneath the weight of these rocks. What happens next depends on the weather, the stability of the ice, and the time. But the officials were clear without a doubt today. The situation is not over. It may, in fact, just be the beginning. Boof! That's a downer for everyone. So I'll keep watching. I'll keep reporting about this. This was my latest update about the drama that's unfolding in Switzerland. And really, if you haven't yet watched my first two videos about this, really interesting pictures that I haven't seen from mountains like that they were able to catch these groundbreaking, I have to say, rock-breaking, mountain-breaking moments. And what could happen there now, unfortunately, in this little alpine valley could become a tragic case study in what happens when geology and weather and climate conditions and gravity all collide. So if you like that video, please leave it a like, share it with your friends, and become a subscriber for more. And check out my other videos. Always go to my start page, click on videos, and you see the latest stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. So check out the videos in the end screen if you want to learn more about the situation in Switzerland. Or if you want to know what's going on in Campiflégris, there's new data and a new study that basically, my interpretation from this is run while you still can. Run. Because that caprock layer that keeps the lid on is failing. It has already failed, and they have new 3D images. They explain this in this study, what is happening there, and it's frightening. And the imminent danger is not a magmatic eruption. It's something that could be even worse because it comes without a warning. A phreatic eruption, we have seen one on White Island in New Zealand, absolutely devastating. And Campiflégris is a supervolcano with that much power. Watch that video. It's a longer one, but watch it till the end because every minute I'm bringing new facts, and especially towards the end, mind-blowing, scary, really, really scary. And one comment underneath that video was, well, I live there. Now you scare me. What should I do? And I'm honest. Move away from at least the red zone. Move further out permanently while you still can. So guys, nature is mighty. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Be prepared. If you want to support this channel, if you want to buy me a coffee, check the links in the description of this video. I hope to see you soon, safe and sound. Bye-bye.